welcome to Turtle Tracks Podcast. This is your host, Brian VanHooker, and I'm here with Mikey Levitt, who will be writing the upcoming Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series for IDW Comics. This is the series that is based on the cartoon series of the same name, but also Mutant Mayhem. Mikey, thanks so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here and talk.
So, I mean, before we get into the specific series, I would love to hear, any impact Turtles may have had on you growing up or anything. Like, what's your experience with Turtles before the series?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am a 96 baby, so I don't have any memories of the original comics or 87, 88 series. My Turtles knowledge really starts with the '03 series. I remember being a kid watching it on TV, and I definitely didn't I don't think I understood how a TV guide works, so I was seeing it piecemeal, kind of
Sure.
just episodes here and there. But as I got older, I started to watch it more regularly. So yeah, the Turtles became something I was aware of in the '03 series. And I just remember being so drawn in by these massive green mutants that were so cool looking, but they also talked like teenagers and they felt older than me at the time. So I almost felt like I was looking up to them. It was just, they had a real impact on me. And then obviously, 2012, that series came out. And I was a little older by that point. So I was watching that a little more religiously, and that had a very different feel to it. It was a little more toned down in terms of the action kind of hero I guess you'd say not storyline, but the way they talked, the way they acted. And I remember just thinking to myself, oh wow, this is really different than what I remember kind of in the '03 series.
Sure.
So yeah, that's kind of where my knowledge is in terms of Turtles. It kind of starts in 2003.
Now, did you, forgive me, actually, well, no, for the '03 series, what do you remember of it? Is there certain, I don't know, episodes that stand out to you, favorite villains or stories or anything that come to mind?
Honestly, the thing that stands out to me the most, and I just remember it, is in season one when Casey Jones is introduced.
Sure.
I remember those episodes probably the most because I remember being like, oh my God, there's a human character in this that is just as badass as the turtles, as
Sure.
badass as the turtles. And I remember that, and I remember the episodes where, obviously we learn that he's watching over Angel and he goes into the ring. And he goes into the ring. Couldn't tell you the exact context of
Oh
what that
yeah, yeah,
episode
no,
was.
but I remember him in the
But
fighting ring. Yeah.
yeah, he goes into the fighting ring and he saves her. And I just that was the first moment, and I think the first kind of couple episodes that really stick out to me. And obviously there's all those seasons, they go to space, they go back in time, they go forward in time. But yeah, I would say Casey Jones was the first character that I think I was really drawn to from the '03 series that kind of caught my attention.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, they did a great job with Casey Jones in that show.
Yeah, I agree.
And now, did you work on the Mutant Mayhem movie?
No, so
Okay,
I was only on Tales of the TMNT show.
got it.
Um, yeah, so I started out as Chris Yost and Alan Wan's assistant. So I was their assistant on the show for the first season, and then I got promoted to script coordinator on the second season of the show. I think it's the second season of the
Oh,
show.
like the second
Um,
half of season one.
yeah, I was
Yeah,
about to say I can't tell if they're calling it season two or
it's
if it's
all
season
season one, but I know
one
originally
B.
it started as two seasons, but it's
Yeah,
definitely two distinct halves. Yeah.
exactly. I for the life of me could not remember what they designated it as. But so yeah, so I was promoted for S script coordinator. And then I got an episode for the upcoming season that's coming out.
Oh, nice.
Um, so I wrote an episode for the upcoming season, and yeah, and then that kind of led to the comics. I had pitched for the comic series while I was still at Nickelodeon as the script coordinator on the show. And then when my contract ended a couple months later, that's when Paramount and IDW kind of reached back out to me.
Oh, very cool. I've interviewed Chris a couple of times on here, actually. He was great.
Oh, Chris is the best. I
Yeah.
love him. He's given me, I would say, Chris, Allen, that whole team is the reason that I'm here today in terms of being so involved in the Turtles world, I have nothing but positive things to say about Chris Allen, that entire team over there at Nickelodeon.
What can you tell me how the comic came about? Do you know the behind the scenes, like when it
Yeah.
was started to be a comic book of these characters?
Yeah, so back in October of, so that would be October of 2024, Nickelodeon, some of the executives at Nickelodeon and the publishing team at Paramount have reached out and said, would you want to pitch for a comic series based on the Turtles? I said, absolutely. That sounds awesome. I said, that sounds awesome. And they reached out and said, okay, so throw us a couple of pitches. There were no real guidelines. There were no real guidelines. It was just whatever you want, whatever you're thinking, put down. That was really fun. And that was really fun because, as I'm sure you know from talking to like Chris, and I'm sure I know you know Andrew and everything, there was a lot of restrictions around the show at times because we had to make sure that it was in line with the movie. And obviously there was a lot of moving pieces. There were certain things we couldn't do. So to be able to have that kind of freedom of, okay, just pitch us whatever
Sure.
was really interesting. Um, and then I pitched it, and Paramount said, okay, we're going to review this. We still have to find a publisher. At the time, IDW was not in the picture. We still have to find a publisher and make sure that IDW wants to do it. And that was October. And I did not hear back about those pitches until I think it was February or March of this year. So it took a couple of months for us to get there.
Was this always something in the Mutant Mayhem vein though, or just like anything Turtles?
No, no, no. It was always going to be in the Mutant Mayhem vein.
Got it.
So it was always going to be in the Mutant Mayhem vein. The biggest, honestly, the only guidelines were these are the things that we don't want you to touch because we may explore that in more seasons or we may explore that in the movie. Don't touch this. Write us stories that are in the vein of Mutant Mayhem. Other tthan that, you guys can do what you want.
Now, is it still like in the continuity of the show and of the movie? I know some people it's sometimes a little unclear about the
Mhm.
continuity of the show and the movie a little bit.
I wouldn't say that there's continuity in terms of following the same storylines of the movie
Sure.
and the show. Obviously we're dealing with the exact same characters. They're going to have the same personalities and stuff like that. But it doesn't follow any sort of storyline that comes from the show or the movie. These are kind of two original ideas that Andrew and I came up with. We were allowed to pull characters from we were allowed to pull characters from the show, from the movie, from other iteration of Turtles. So that was kind of the fun part is we didn't have to follow a certain storyline. We were really just kind of making this up as we went along. Obviously, the biggest thing was just making sure that the Turtles themselves reflected what we've come to know and love within the show and the movie. That was
Sure.
the most important part for us.
I mean, what were your like in your pitches? What were your goals and ideas going into this? What
Mhm.
did you want to do with them?
So I really wanted to do something that was a little more lighthearted. I remember distinctly, I was talking to Chris about this when I first started pitching, and I told him that I really wanted to do something that was a little more lighthearted.
Hmm.
That's kind of the person I am. My background, I come from the live action world before animation. So my dream before I ever got into Nickelodeon, my dream was to be a children's sitcom writer. That was like my ultimate dream. So I have a very lighthearted personality, lighthearted kind of writing style. And I really wanted to kind of translate that to the Turtles, and I wanted to emphasize the teenage aspect of it. I was really trying to put them in situations where we could allow them to be teens. So when I was pitching, I was really trying to pull from kind of personal experience of what it was like when I was growing up, and what I think would be fun to put a teenager in. And I'm from New York, so I feel a certain connection to the Turtles in that regard. And that's kind of how I ended up in them going to a robotics camp. Was for me, it was I went to camp growing up as a kid in Pennsylvania. So I was shipped away to sleepaway camp for like 2 months in Pennsylvania growing up. And I had the idea of, oh, wouldn't it be fun if we separated the turtles and just took one of them and sent them to camp in upstate New York, which, if you ask people from New York, is a very common thing that people do.
Yeah, so yeah,
So
that's where I am. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, exactly. So very common, So
yeah.
very common for people to do that. And it dawned on me, oh wow, this would be really fun if we sent one of them to camp. This would be awesome. We've
That's
never
cool.
seen them
Yeah.
do that. We've never seen them do that. We can let them be kids up there, but also incorporate some sort of, villain plot line and have them be action heroes still. So that was kind of how I came to this comic idea.
That's great. I mean, what I love about this is just something we've never seen. So it's just Donnie going to camp, right?
It's just Donnie. So
Right.
yeah, originally when I first started, I toyed with the idea of pitching all of them going to camp. Um, but admittedly, I was finding it hard to figure out how I was gonna make that work
Sure.
and how I was gonna make a storyline revolving around all of them. So I opted to just send one of them. And Donnie is the character from the show that I really love this iteration of Donnie. I
Yeah.
really love this iteration of Donnie. Um, I think his season one, episode 4, where he's on the subway, I think is one of my favorite episodes of Tales so far. So for me, I really wanted to do something with Donnie. So it was kind of a no-brainer to send Donnie to camp, and then it was kind of like the most obvious thing. Oh,
Robotics camp. Sure. Yeah.
he's going to robotics camp. Of course, that's where he's going.
That's what I love about
Um,
this movie. I mean, the Mayhem, and then the series, and then the movie that's coming up, which the turtle feature the turtles in school. Like, I really applaud this version of the characters where like we're after 40 years of storytelling, finding new stories as opposed to rehashing
yeah.
old. Which I really like.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that's the great thing about this iteration of the franchise is we're giving them, I mean, this is the reason that the turtles are so great is because they're so versatile, right? Over every time we start a new iteration, there's something new about them. But I find what's so special about them is we've really made them lovable teenagers. They
Yeah,
feel like true 2020s teenagers.
yeah.
And that's what makes them so fun. And they're still action heroes, but at their core, they're just kids. And they're going on adventures and they want to be outside in the world. And I think that's what makes this iteration of Turtles just so awesome.
It's so funny going into this version. I was excited about the movie, but I was like, I'll just wait and see what I think when
Yeah.
on the way Mayhem was coming out. And I remember Seth Rogen saying we really put an emphasis on the teenager part of it, and not thinking much of that. And then
Mhm.
I saw the movie, and I think there's two most the big. It's good all around, but the two biggest takeaways I had is the artwork was beautiful, really just cool, inventive animation, and then the fact that they hired these 4 kids to play kids, right? The characters are
Yeah.
kids. And like it breathed a ton of life into it, which I
Mhm.
thought was such a cool takeaway. And so like you cast teenagers as these teenagers, the feel is so different than what's before in a way that I really liked. I was like, oh, that what a smart way to energize the franchise.
Oh, absolutely. And even just, being in the recording sessions with them, when we were doing it for the show, they just bring so much energy to the role. And it's crazy because we don't record them together. So they're all
I think you
recorded
did.
in
I remember.
no, on the show they were recorded individually. I don't know if I'm
Oh, maybe the
spilling.
series. Oh, I'm sorry. In the movie, they recorded together. I'm sure the series. I'm
Yeah.
talking about the movie. I gotcha.
Yeah. So on the show we don't record them together.
Interesting.
Which I don't know if that was a hidden secret of the show that I
I mean,
just
that's
revealed.
how that's all animation's done now, pretty much. The
Right.
movie
But
was
it
the
was really great.
exception.
Yeah, the movie was the exception. And it,
Yeah.
it was just really great because I feel like we were able to capture that kind of energy and magic, even just with them individually. So a huge amount of credit to them, and the idea of casting teenagers was awesome and is what makes this show so great.
I mean, that was a question I had for you. I mean, it's kind of a writerly question, but like,
Mhm.
because their energy is so sort of like spontaneous, and I know there was a lot of improvisation in the movie, and it's very much about those 4 guys, those 4 kids vibing. Was it challenging to write for that because it's so much infused with that kind of bouncing off each other?
Yeah, I mean it is difficult, and I would say, writing my own episode on the show was a challenge within itself because you're writing dialogue and trying to imagine how they would say it to each other. at that point, we've been in record sessions enough where we know how they talk, we know their style, we know their cadence. So you're writing out the dialogue, trying to match it with how they talk,
Mm.
and how they sound and the things they like to do. And you kind of get a sense of how they like to improv. So there's that kind of aspect as well, where when you're writing it, you go, oh, this might be an area where they would like to improv. This might be an area where something fun may happen. So it's really interesting. I think writing for them, I think on the show was really, really challenging,
Mm.
but super fun because you can kind of write whatever kind of dialogue you want, and you're going to let them take the wheel at some point and tell you. Like, there were many moments where they would tell us in record sessions, that's not how someone would say that. Like,
Yeah, you
we're
want
gonna say
that. Yeah.
we're gonna say this a different way. Like, no one says that word anymore, and that's
Right.
great. And that's great.
Yeah. I mean, why not trust them, right? Like
Right.
they're way more in touch with it than somebody, however many years older.
Oh yeah, I'm 28, and I think Nicholas Cantu's like 21, 22, but that's a big difference. He knows a
Sure.
lot more about how people talk, about how teenagers talk than I do. So it's really great, but it was a great challenge. I loved writing for them.
The similarly, like you're doing a solo Donnie story in the
Mhm.
comic. Is that hard figuring out who Donnie is independent of that back and forth with the other turtles?
Yeah, absolutely. When I picked Donnie because I wanted to kind of explore his individuality a little bit. And I wanted to find a way to show him without his brothers super present.
Hmm.
Which we do in the first season as well, which we do in the first
Yes,
season.
the turtles are
Um,
isolated one. Yeah, yeah,
Right, we do that in the first season. I just kind of wanted to further go into that.
sure.
But it was hard because there's times where you're going, okay, how would Donnie react to this? How would he feel about this? You're putting him in situations. Donnie is always the smart one. He's the intelligent one. He's the more logical one, the grounded one. It's saying, okay, can we make him a little bit less this time? Can we
Mm.
have him be more of a kid? Can we have him not necessarily thinking with his head, but thinking just kind of with his heart, or
Yeah.
thinking just not thinking at all? And I think that was kind of the challenge and the fun part of writing for him in the comic is I really wanted to give him moments where he's not necessarily thinking with his head and he's not necessarily thinking logically. He's just kind of going with the flow and acting. But that's kind of why, you build around that, right? You build around that to make it work. I don't want to reveal too much about the
No, I
comic,
don't.
but
Yeah, I don't want
yeah,
you to get in trouble either.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, so
But
I don't know if you can share. I know that
yeah,
you wrote the first three issues.
yes, yes.
Is
So I
that
wrote
the
the
same
first three.
story? Is that all Donnie? I don't know if you can
Mhm.
share that. Okay.
I think that's public.
I think so too. I'm just not sure.
I think it's public info.
Okay.
But yeah, yeah. So I wrote the first three issues, and they're all the same story.
And I know Joustra is doing the next three. Did you
Mhm,
guys um like when you got the job and it was like playing out this
mhm,
comic, did you guys convene at all or did you craft your
mhm.
story separately?
Yeah, we had a Zoom call very soon after, and we just wanted to talk. Actually, when we first were writing out our outlines or our initial pitches to Paramount, we got on a Zoom call and we talked through some of them, just to make sure that like we both were, we just kind of wanted to hear each other's ideas. We wanted to bounce off of each other a little bit. But we also knew that we wanted to make sure that they weren't necessarily the same idea,
Certainly.
right? You got to make sure,
Yeah, no,
and
it's fine.
especially when we both knew that we were pitching, because obviously his, which I think is his is about Fugitoid. Um um so and then mine takes place at a robotics camp, so we wanted to make sure that there was not too much of an overlap in terms of the robotic aspect, to make sure that it was still kind of different,
Sure.
right? So that was really it. But
Oh, right, because
after,
there's a robot here, and yours. We're not breaking any news. Yours is Metalhead in it.
mine is Metalhead in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we knew that he was going down the Fugitoid route and I was going down the Metalhead route, but we did kind of convene to be like, okay, what is your story about? What is my story about? Oh, these are very different stories. We're
Cool.
totally chilling. And then after that, we really were on our own. And Andrew and I would text and just kind of check in. And I'd be like, hey, I sent my draft. He'd be like, oh, I sent my draft. Oh, it's all done. Congratulations. And then when it was all said and done, we got lunch to celebrate.
Nice.
But that was the first time that we had talked in person or over Zoom since that initial meeting.
Is there a so wait, did you know Andrew? Oh no, oh he didn't work on the show, so you guys didn't know each other till then, right?
No, I knew who
Oh,
he
nice.
was. I think we both knew who each other were just because we were in the Turtles universe together, but we had never met. We had never talked until the comics.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
No, like, did you? This might be a question that you can't answer, and don't if you can't. But like, was there a new character that you said you'd mentioned earlier? There's certain things that were off limits, but that you were allowed to bring in
Mhm.
other aspects and maybe characters from the movie, the cartoon, and then the other turtle, like the
Yeah.
other turtle versions. Were there any characters that you were allowed to bring in that have not yet been introduced that you're allowed to talk about? Probably not.
Um, so we
In
definitely
the
were
Mayhem
allowed.
universe, I mean, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So we were allowed to bring in characters from the Mutant Mayhem universe. Obviously I won't divulge who we brought in,
Gotcha.
but we definitely were allowed to bring in characters from Mutant Mayhem universe. And we both did. And we both did. So both of our comics, and I won't speak for Andrew, but both of our comics have characters from the Mutant Mayhem universe in it. Mine does you know, trying to think of how to say
No,
this
no, no, that's fine.
without revealing anything.
I was a little unclear. I'm saying, were you able to bring in a character that was not yet introduced in the Mayhem verse?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm
No, I
sorry.
misspoke. I was made it as complicated the way I could ask the
No,
question.
no, no, no. No.
Okay.
So any characters that we brought in had to already have existed in the Mutant Mayhem
Oh,
universe.
cool. Okay. Cool.
Now, obviously, it's not a secret that Andrews is about Fugitoid, which
Right.
hasn't been introduced in the Mutant Mayhem universe. So we were allowed to do stuff like that. But if, let's say, a character was necessarily going to be introduced in another season or in the movie, that was off
I see.
limits.
Got it.
That
Got
was
it.
off limits. Yeah.
Now, well,
Yeah.
tell me about Metalhead. I mean, we got to meet him in the
Mhm.
Tales show.
Mhm.
What was he like writing with? Or what did you want to do with the character? Can you share any of
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, of course. I I loved Metalhead in the show. Metalhead in the show was just so fun. I love that scene in episode 4 where Donnie kind of refurbishes him and he becomes like this kid fighting robot alongside them. Like not kid fighting, but he's like a teenager.
Yeah.
So I just love the idea of bringing him in, and what I really wanted to do was have explore the relationship between Donnie and Metalhead because like they kind of are best friends in a way.
Sure.
Like they kind of are best friends, and I wanted to really focus on Metalhead and Donnie trying to perfect Metalhead,
Hmm.
right? That's kind of the crux. So I was really trying to explore how can we make Metalhead as badass as possible. Um, that was really what I was trying to do is I love this character. I love what we did with him in the show. I love how he acts like a teenager and he looks like a teenager, but he talks like a robot. How can we make that even more? So that was really the crux of it is I just wanted Donnie and Metalhead to have their own story and for Metalhead to become like the most just awesome robot we possibly could make.
The tell me about working with Louie Joyce.
Louie was great.
He's the artist in the comic, and he
Yeah.
works great so far. What we've seen.
Oh my God. Louis was awesome. They told me they were like, okay, we'll get the art back and you'll take a look at it if there's anything wrong or there's anything, or if the panels aren't right. And I said, oh, okay, yeah, like happy to make sure. Thinking, oh, one or two times there'll be something that I need to step in and just kind of be like, hey, no, we need to do that. I never had a comment. Every single time I would receive art, I receive anything, it would always be, hey, this looks great. Great job, Louis. No notes from me. He's just amazing. I mean, he's so talented. Obviously, his work with Godzilla Skate or Die, his work on the show, on the comic, his art style is unbelievable. He made them look cooler than I can ever imagine. Um, what he did with my characters was more than I bargained for. I like had an idea of what they looked like, and then he took it and times it by 100.
That's cool.
Um, it was unbelievable. I mean, I had no idea that it would look as amazing as it does, and I think Louis deserves all the credit in the world because I just write it, but he brings it to life.
When's the first issue come out?
October 15th.
All
October
right, so
15th.
soon. Very cool.
October 15th is the first issue. Yeah.
My last question for you, and I asked this of everybody, is who's your favorite turtle and why?
I know it's going to be a cop out, but Mikey, obviously,
Sure,
but Mikey, obviously for namesake,
sure.
but in general, I've always loved that he was the party dude. I've always loved that he was the lighthearted one. I've always just felt drawn to him because growing up, I was kind of the lighthearted ADHD kid that couldn't keep his head on a swivel. And I always related to Mikey in that way. He just wanted to have a good time. He cared deeper than anyone, you know, in the franchise, in my opinion. But he was smart, he was funny, he had a lot of heart to him, and I always just felt drawn to him for that regard. And it added there was an added benefit that we have the same name, so I can't lie and say that's not a reason.
Sure.
But yeah,
I am all set here, man. All right, so everybody, October 15th, first issue Tales comes out. Get it from your local comic shop. I'm excited for it. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it.
oh, thank you for having me, man. This was awesome.
And when the next season comes, I'll have to have you back to talk about your episode. So
Yeah. When it comes out or gets announced, we can hop back on and chat.
fantastic. Thanks so much.
Yeah, no problem, Brian.
Take care. Bye. Hello and welcome to Turtle Tracks Podcast. This is your host Brian VanHooker, and I'm here with artist Louie Joyce, who is the is doing the art for the new Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series, the comic book that's based on the series called Tales, as well as Mutant Mayhem. Louie, thanks so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here and to talk turtles.
Yeah, I mean, I've been digging up on your artwork, and it is immediately clear to me why you were such a good pick for this book. I mean, there's so much energy and movement in your stuff. Like, I really love your work. It's really cool.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it does feel like a really, really good fit. This iteration of the turtles, especially, I think,
Yeah.
matches. We have so much kind of overlapping aesthetics and little stylistic things within my work, which kind of matches the amazing visuals they've laid out through the movie and then through the cartoon. So it's been really, really fun kind of taking that, looking at all that incredible work and then also taking it and like trying to put it through my filter and keep, not just do the same thing, but keep my kind of sense of how I would approach it. And so far it's been a really nice kind of melding of my style and its style. And yeah, I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, well, I don't mind if we go out of order. I'm curious about that because, like, you're getting to work, like, what you're drawing with the turtles is very evocative of your work, but also, like, it's very much in line with what they did for the cartoon, which obviously is derivative of the movie. I guess my question is, like, I don't know, how was there any figuring out that you had to do to bring these versions of the characters to comic books, or was a lot of that figured out by the cartoon?
I think a lot of that is so ingrained in the like there's so much overlap between animation and comics just as a visual storytelling method. So the two they work really, really well together. And I think they took a very comic-y kind of approach, especially with the cartoon, So that the visuals, taking the visuals from that and adapting it, and taking the kind of storytelling sensibility that the show has and adapting that into the comic storytelling medium has felt pretty smooth and pretty kind of easy to do so far. There's certainly like, I really love the stuff that comics can do that other mediums can't, you know, like big splash pages and arrangements of panels and getting a little funky design wise with stuff. So I'm leaning, like, after getting just a feel for drawing the turtles and you know, drawing the world and this kind of world they exist in, I'm starting now to lean a bit more into like having a lot of fun with my page layouts and bringing a lot of that kind of comic storytelling sensibility to it. So it's been good. Like, it's felt pretty smooth, the melding of the two. And I think Turtles has such a great, you know, history. Like, obviously it started in comics at where it all originates. So that it's just this deep connection between the medium and the characters, and to get to bring like a new iteration of it to comics for the first time feels like a big thing to me. And so I'm just trying to kind of engage with that as much as I can on a creative level.
When did this comic book start? Like, how far, like, was the cartoon already out, or production, or?
Yeah, so the first season was out, and so I had seen the first season, or most of it, before I came on board. I'd seen the movie obviously heaps of times, and they were clear that they wanted the comic to really match the cartoon more than the movie, because there's just slight stylistic, obviously 3D animation, 2D animation. There's stylistic changes there. So I went and kind of watched a bunch of the episodes and just kind of let the vibe of it kind of, you know, take all that in, but then in making the comic, I've kind of just been doing my thing, and like,
that's cool.
Occasionally I'll reference some stuff or like look back at a scene or an environment from the cartoon, but for the most part I'm just kind of taking all that stuff that I internalized while watching and putting it out through my filter, and it's been working quite well so far.
Yeah, it's funny. That's what I was saying about, like, looking back at your stuff. I was like, I guess before when they first announced the comic book, I figured, you know, obviously there's a lot of work involved in that anyway, but like, I thought like, oh, it looks like, in the best way, like they just took the artwork from the cartoon and then, like, we're gonna bring it over to the page. But like, looking back at your work, I was like, oh shit, this guy kind of lived in this energetic space anyway. So that's what I'm saying. It's such a good match. Like, for these turtles especially, they move like your characters move, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah. I think it's a case of just a really good fit of my style and its style, and it just working really well together. And yeah, it's certainly, I'm like, you know, I draw them. It's easy to draw them in like a big splash page, you know, a cover image or something, which is kind of like when I came on to test for the gig, I did like a big kind of cover style image of the turtles as like, this is how I would draw them, and that was really fun, and I love that image, and but then it's a whole nother beast, like getting a feel for how you draw them in interior art, you know, how they when they're not doing their most iconic, you know, action filled pose or whatever it is, just when they're just like hanging out around the lair, or just walking from one room to another. So that's a kind of process that then I just have to feel out to really get a feel for the characters, just through the fact of drawing pages of the book. And the first issue is certainly got a bunch of that in there. And I really felt like after completing that first issue, I finally had a really good idea of like how the turtles act and look, and how I kind of choose to represent them on the comic page in my own kind of style that matches what obviously IDW and Nickelodeon and Paramount all want from a comic adaptation of Tales. Yeah.
Is there any particular, I don't know, quirks or like about drawing the turtles or these versions of the turtles that strikes you as very different or anything?
I haven't like different to drawing other versions of the Turtles, or
Or I don't know, like it gets different from drawing your other versions of the Turtles, or like in your own work. Like I don't know if there's anything that's like tricky about them or anything like that. If that makes sense.
I think that they, they have a very a lot. Their design is very similar, right? They have the same basic template as characters, and especially for animation, that's done because you need to keep things simple and streamlined in 2D animation so that you can animate these frames over and over again. So they have this same kind of template and visual way that they appear. So a lot of like differentiating them on the page comes down to body language and like how they're standing and what action they're doing and how they're emoting and things like this. The way that they perform as characters allows you to do a lot of their heavy lifting of differentiating them on the page. And I think it's a really key element, especially for this one, because there's little stylistic differences like how many straps they have, or do they have pouches, or their heights and things like that. But it really, the key factor is like, what would each of them be doing when they're just standing around, waiting for a pizza delivery or an elevator or whatever, how do they act and how does each one do it differently? And that's the thing I think I'm talking about when I say I have to spend some time feeling it out. And I get a sense of that both by watching the cartoon, but also by inhabiting the characters myself. So starting to get a bit of my performance thing going, and occasionally I'll get up and stand and I'll think like, how would Mikey stand, or how would he walk into this room, or what's he going to do if he tells a really funny joke and at the expense of one of the others, or whatever it is. And that is body language is key, performance is key, especially for these characters. They are so animated, they are so alive and funny, and they have such great personality in the cartoon and the movie that's a priority of mine. One of the most important factors I need to communicate.
I mean, if it's not too much in the weeds, can you give examples? Like what? Because I love this. I love this stuff. So like Leonardo, like what is he communicating on the page when you're doing it?
Well, I mean, it depends what the scene is and what the action needs. But he's a little bit more business. He's a little bit more, he is facilitating a scene that I've been drawing recently. He's facilitating an approach to solving a situation, right? So he's ready to sort this out, and his body language is going to reflect that at first, but also the others aren't taking it quite as seriously as him. So his body language has to kind of then shift to reflect his frustration at that, and how do you represent that? And so that's a really in comics, in animation, you can do a lot of like cutaways and you can have them actually physically moving to showcase all that. In comics, it becomes, a static image of all of them that conveys all that information, and then maybe a reaction shot of Leo with that post frustration, or whatever it is. And so it's very important to nail that performance, that character, that emotion in that static image, and convey all that information without the use of, I mean, this is the trickiness of comics. You've only got so much real estate in terms of how much space you have on the page. So yeah, how you choose to do it, and how effective it is very much part of the joy and frustration of making comics. You know what I mean? It's a very big puzzle that you have to piece together to tell this story. Sometimes it flows really well. Sometimes it's really hard to nail, but it's part of the joy of it all, I guess.
What about Raphael? Like, is there a way? Like, I mean, obviously it depends on scene by scene, but is there a kind of go-to for his character for you?
Raph is always a little bit like tensed and like he's like a bit buzzing. I think he's just got this like energy.
Yeah, especially in that
simmering.
movie. Yeah,
he's got this energy simmering where he's just ready to do something, right? Like he just wants to like, So I think and obviously it depends what stage they're at. Like he can be relaxed at other times as well. But I think that's the thing there. He's ready for action, I think is an important thing to remember anytime I'm kind of acting putting Raph in a scene.
Is Mikey the opposite of that? Because that version is very chill.
He is pretty chill, yeah. Mikey, I think often I see him a little bit like he's like playing off. I think he's very aware of what the others are doing, and he's got a bit of like a younger brother. This is how I see him anyway, but younger brother energy where he's like, he wants to impress everyone. He's ready to show what he can do at any moment. But he's also very observant and actually really clued in emotionally to what the others are feeling in a unique way. So I think that is an important part of him. Like he can appear very nonchalant and chill and calm and just jokey about everything, but actually he's quite present in these situations.
Interesting.
And quite he's playing off the others quite a lot. Yeah, it reminds me. I've got 3 kids, so I can't help. They're not teenagers, but I can't help but project them into the future, and I can't. They provide a lot of inspiration for me when it comes to drawing characters. So I do take a lot of. I did especially for Godzilla Skate or Die, another series I did. You know, a lot of my kids were in those characters that I drew, and I'm already like my middle child. I can see a lot of overlap between him and Mikey in an interesting way. Just now talking about it. So
I love that.
Yeah, I kind of pull on all this stuff. And it grows and changes as you go, I think, as you get to new parts of the story and they're put in these new situations and settings. And yeah, it's a fun exploration and kind of discovery process often as well.
What about Donatello?
Donnie.
You did the most. I mean, I've read issue 1. Your first story is really very Donatello centric, so you kind of got to explore him first. I'm guessing, right?
Yeah, Donnie. The first arc is very Donnie heavy, which is cool because I always thought Donnie. I've always said Donnie's my favorite of the Turtles, and I think so. I was excited to get such a Donnie heavy story, and in this one, Donnie's like. He's a little bit maybe the most unsure of himself of the crew. Maybe like he's I don't know. He's a little bit harder to really nail down. And maybe part of that is because I've been drawing him most by himself and not as the crew of the 4 in these first issues. So I haven't gotten to fully draw him in the group yet, and that's kind of how I define a lot of them, like how they there is a little bit, but yeah, I think he's got some stuff to prove. He's very smart. He's very like but he's a little unsure of himself. I think that kind of plays into how he stands and acts and interacts with characters. Yeah.
I should say, so I've read the first issue, and it was a lot of fun. And you get to have a lot of fun with Metalhead too. I mean, I love the design of that character. I like how he looks so crappy, right? Like, he's such a fun design. I'm curious if any highlights about drawing Metalhead.
Yeah, I just really love the shapes in Metalhead. Like, it's just a really fun kind of mishmash of big squares and thin cylinders and just like different shapes that are visually pleasing together, I think. So yeah, and just the smile that doesn't change, it's quite expressive for a I think it's all down to the body shape of that robot, because he is quite expressive for a robot for a robot, and also a robot that has like a drawn-on smile that never changes. But you can still actually the shapes and the structure of the body allows you to convey quite a lot with that character. I think it's a great design. I really enjoyed drawing Metalhead.
Is it challenging, like, to kind of like if the character is not happy to play it against the expression on their face?
Yes, it is a bit challenging. And it can go down to like maybe in a situation like that, you want to obscure the face, so you might choose to show from behind with like more of a
Interesting. Sure.
doesn't have shoulders to slam, or kind of does, but like and that's the great thing about animation and comics is you can start to bend and squash characters, you know. So in a reality sense, like I've got a metalhead toy here.
I've
My
got
kid has.
one here too. It's
But
great.
in a reality sense, you know, you can't bend this back, but in a drawing sense, I absolutely can bend and shift and squash and do
Sure.
these things to the physical object of the character in a way that allows them to emote, you know, to convey an emotion. So that's one of the things I love about cartooning, you know, it allows you to do that.
That page where he has the jumper cables on him. Man, that's a great the composition. The whole page is great. The colors are great. I'm not sure. I'm not remembering who did the colors, but man, that whole page is
I'm
wonderful.
doing full color art. So I'm doing
Oh no shit! Wow. Okay. Cool.
yeah. So all the art is mine. Letters, I'm blanking on the name right now, but which is bad. I should know the name. But yeah, I'm doing full color art for all 6 issues. Yeah.
Was that a choice because of because of your work, or was it just like I'm so curious because that's usually they have another person doing it.
Yeah, so I have pretty much always colored my work. I've done, what did I do? I did a series called, you know, from early on when I was self-publishing stuff, I always colored. I've done some black and white stuff, but even that ended up being just black and white. Past the Last Mountain, I colored. Hat Haven, a graphic novel I did came out in 2019, I think. I did full color art on that. Fistful of Pain, I ended up doing colors. So I think it's just become I've just always colored my own work. Not because I'm a too precious or averse to collaborating. I think colors are just if you look at my work, pardon me, if you look at my work, just general illustrations that I do, color is a huge part of it.
Yeah.
And so I think it's just a very important kind of tool in my toolbox. And when it comes to comics, I just have this history of doing full color art. I did it on Godzilla Skate or Die as well, which I wrote and did full color art on. And so when they approached me for this, I think they wanted that package. I think looking at Godzilla Skate or Die was like a really it was evident there that there was a strong stylistic compatibility with the Tales stuff, so they were interested in that as the package. And yeah, I'm having a lot of fun coloring this book as well.
Well, I mean, honestly, you kind of established that in your first page. There's that wonderful image of Donatello in this kind of motion capture suit, and there's these blue lights coming off of him and shit like that. And it looks like I imagine it would be extremely difficult for two different people to kind of get like, not that it'd be impossible. They have great colorists, but
Yeah.
if there's just that, like, there's not like there's a lot of things that don't have lines and the lines are defined by the color, which is really interesting.
Yeah, I often, and I'll often do this sometimes when my process is broken up into like line work and then colors. I will draw stuff and then end up at the color stage removing a bunch of stuff because I'm just
Sure.
oh, no, I don't need that. I don't like just a color is going to work so much more effectively here. So there is that push and pull, and obviously, yeah, absolutely, that relationship can still happen with multiple, and does happen all the time with multiple people doing line or inks and lines and another person doing colors. So that's something I'd like to explore in future projects maybe, but yeah, for the time being, I'm still just really love color. I love playing with color. I love it as a storytelling device. I think it's really powerful. It's kind of the unsung, or for so long it was the unsung hero of comics. You know, good color absolutely makes a comic sing in the best way possible, and bad color can absolutely do the opposite. So yeah, I love playing with color and especially in comics.
I mean, jumping back to that image of Metalhead with the jumper cables, the blue there, goodness, like that, you hear it,
Yeah,
which is really cool.
yeah. And I think that's what color does really well. It ties into an emotional reaction, a sensory emotional reaction from the reader or the viewer or whatever it is. Often a lot in a way that is much more evocative than a tightly rendered, thousands of lines or whatever it is way. And that's just a personal opinion, but I think that is one of color's great strengths.
The name of the letterer, because I just pulled it up, is Brian Kolick.
Oh, Brian Kolick, that's right. Doing an amazing job.
Yeah, I was really happy with it. I'm really, like I said, I really enjoyed the first issue. I'm excited to see where the rest of it goes. I mean, you've got some great writers on it. I love this take on the Turtles. I think it's like, I love every version. But I thought that like the energy, I mean, to me, that new movie, like it had a lot of things going for it, but the two biggest things was the art style looked amazing.
Yeah.
And to me, like hiring, like you don't think, like I didn't think of a big deal going into it, getting teenagers to voice these characters, but like hiring kids to play these characters that are kids, man, it gave it a totally different feel and sound, and like it totally made it different than everything else Turtles had done, which I really liked.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I agree. I think like I am similarly am a big Turtles fan, and like for me, the original films, the live action films from the 90s are so ingrained in my childhood, and that I mean the second one is probably my main like Turtles touchstone. Yeah. The Secret of the Ooze for so much of my life. That was my touchstone, and I love that. And I love like a bunch of the cartoon, like that 2012 cartoon series. I thought was amazing. I call
fantastic.
Like there is so many great iterations of the Turtles. The 2003 show was a blind spot for me for a long time, and I'm kind of getting into that now, and it's bloody great too. So like
good stories. Yeah.
There's a lot of really great Turtle stuff, and I love that if you look at them, they kind of often take a slightly different thing to focus on from the kind of rich tapestry that is the Turtles. And I think the teenageness of the movie of this the teenageness of this most recent iteration. I mean, as I said, I'm a parent with young kids, so there's certainly it hits for me in a way that is really that just really hits really well. And
I have a 10-year-old and she loved it, and like it's one of those things like you really like. I mean, I think she grew up watching the 2012 version all the time, so that's her favorite. But like, I love that like they're like it's a kid's property, right? Like I'm well aware that there are a lot of adult fans, but it's a children's property. So I mean, the fact that there was so much focus on that for this, I thought was so smart.
Yes, I agree. And it's like it takes that, but then it has wide appeal just because it is so funny and it is so visually interesting. I'm so excited to see what that
movie looks fantastic. Oh, like what a smart.
I just saw today they released a still from the Chrome Alone 2.
Yeah, which Andrew wrote.
Yeah, Andrew wrote as well. So Andrew's writing the second arc of the comic.
Andrew Joustra.
And he wrote this film as well. They just released it still, and it just looks so good. I really want to.
I love it. I don't know why. I love seeing the turtles without their masks. Which
I know.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's like a dog. It's like I liken it to like a dog without its collar. When I don't have a dog at the moment, but like when I was younger and we had dogs and you would take their collar off and let them run around, they just seemed so like free and cute, and I don't know, there was something that happened, and I think it's similar with the turtles when you take their mask off, there's just this innocent cuteness that is accentuated.
Do you draw them much without their masks in the comic?
Not yet. No.
Okay.
Not but
I was curious if like it changes your approach to how you draw them.
Yeah, I can imagine it would, because I actually start with the mask whenever I'm drawing.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I'll have like basic rough structural underdrawing, so like circle, like basic shape. But when I come to drawing the final drawing, I often start with the masks, the side of the masks and the eye, like that frame, and build from there. So it could be quite tricky doing it without the mask.
That's interesting. Like there's some versions where you see like if it looks like the mask is almost part of their anatomy, right?
Yes.
And they couldn't remove them. Like in the movies, I love the
No.
movies, but like you don't,
Yeah.
you can't picture it without it. It would just seem, yeah,
Yeah.
the animatronic
Yeah.
head would fall apart.
Yes. Yeah, that would be freaky.
So you grew up in Australia, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I'm always
So
curious about like here, 1990, 91, Turtles was all consuming. It was everywhere, everything, every toothbrush, lunchbox, all that, everything was Turtles. I'm so
yeah.
curious, what was it like there? Was there a Turtle Mania in Australia?
There definitely was. So I was I was born in 87. And I think I was a little bit young to really fully remember the full Turtle Mania.
Okay.
But definitely it was here. Like any photos of my childhood, there are turtle figures around. There are swords, plastic swords. My mum sent me, when she found out that I was drawing this comic, she sent me a photo from my 4th birthday where I had a Leo cake.
I saw that on your Instagram. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when I posted that, a mate of mine sent me pretty much the exact same photo of him on his like 4th or 5th birthday with a Mikey cake.
That's
like
great.
it's
Yeah.
So I think it was very much a global. It was in Australia, very much so. And the cartoon was on TV as far as I can remember back. So yeah, I think. And we had that, like I said, the movies were on the telly all the time. Like once the live action ones came out, the reason Secret of the Ooze is such a big one for me is because we had like a VHS that we'd recorded from the TV with like all the ads in it and everything.
Nice.
And that's what I watched like 100,000 times throughout my childhood. Yeah, so I think it was huge here too.
Were they, so in England they were the Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles. What were they in Australia? Were they still Ninja?
Still Ninja Turtles. Yeah.
Okay. In England they were forced to change them because Ninja had a more, I wasn't sure if it was different in Australia.
Yeah, I don't think they did that. I have no memory of that, but I could have been too. Did it? How long did it stay like that in England for?
I think throughout that whole wave. So I think the entire cartoon, the movies. From what I understand, and I'm not an expert on this particular area, but it was Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles for the entirety of the cartoon and those early movies. My friend, I have a good friend. Like I've asked people like this who grew up in England who work in the franchise or whatever, and like in their heads they still hear Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles. Like it was changed there for whatever reason. I wasn't sure though if it was like,
I'll have to look into it.
Huh.
Yeah, I don't remember that. My dad is a comic collector, so he wasn't a Turtles guy, but we did have one of the color classics of the like the first Turtles issue.
Oh, nice.
That first color classic collection. So we had that in the house. So I think it would have been Ninja Turtles in our house regardless. I think he's the type of guy who would have been like, it's not heroes, it's Ninja Turtles. But yeah, it'd be interesting to find out if they did that in Australia because I have no memory of it.
Separate from Tales, you did I guess half of a cover for the Battle Nexus.
Yes.
Which is coming out. You did half, and then it was Dan Schoening who did the movie Turtles. So it was the movie Turtles, the original 1990 movie Turtles versus the Mayhem Turtles or the Tales Turtles. Is there anything to say about that? Getting to do that one?
Yeah, that was just a really fun gig to do. Like they explained the concept to me, but I didn't know who my turtles would be facing off with when I drew it. So I think they just collected they probably I can imagine how much fun it would have been for the editors to mix and match and kind of put those covers together. But yeah, so I just drew mine separately, and I did it, and it was another fun thing where I just got to draw a big kind of action thing of those turtles in between drawing pages and continuing to just fill out the turtles and I was really happy with how that one came out. And then to see the final covers was so cool because as I said, like those movie turtles were my childhood touchstone. So to be on the cover with them was really cool. And then just to see all the other covers as well, and to I immediately started going through it with my kids, and we're like trying to pick which ones we think would win and which one we like the most.
Great.
And yeah, it was cool. So great idea. Super fun covers. I'm excited to see. I mean, because there's backup stories from what I understand in each of those issues that will have the turtles facing off. So I'm really excited to see how those play out.
Did you have to adjust the eye lines after the fact or at the very end to like make sure? I wasn't sure if that was. I'm curious.
I didn't have to. I think that would have been the editors.
I see. Sure.
Yeah, I think the only thing I drew Raph without a pupil in full rage mode, and they just got me to add a pupil in just to keep it consistent, I think. But yeah, that would have been them mixing and matching. And I think they have to pay attention to like the official height of turtles and stuff as well.
Yeah,
that which would have been tricky, I think.
I'm all set here. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. This is great.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's been a blast just talking turtles.
My last question for you, and I asked if everybody's, who's your favorite turtle and why? I think you said Donatello. Why is it Donatello?
Well, I don't know. I like the weapon. I like the staff. I like I like that I love the color purple as well. I think that it could just be as simple as that.
Sure.
But I do think now, and it's a bad answer, but I do think now that I can't. My answer is that I love them all together. I can't I think the great thing about the turtles is the relationships. And
yeah,
it's
they're
like
all part of a whole.
Favorite.
Yeah.
It's like trying to pick a favorite child, right? Like I can't pick my favorite child, or my favorite child changes all the time. So it's probably like that with the turtles.
Sure.
Yeah.
How do people find you on Instagram?
At Louie Joyce. So just my name, Louie Joyce. I'm on Instagram. I got a website. I'm starting up a newsletter-y thing.
Nice.
Soon. So
how do you sign up for that? Or is that like just follow Instagram and you'll figure it out?
Yeah. Just follow my Instagram and I'll post about it. But yeah, that's probably the best place. And if anyone wants a primer for like the first issue of Thing drops soon. But if you want more comic action in this style, I gotta say Godzilla Skate or Die, the comic that I wrote and illustrated that came out last year that's set in Australia.
I've heard very good things about that. I've not read it.
It's about
but I've heard
thank you. 4 young skater punks getting caught up in a big kaiju battle. A fair bit of TMNT overlap there, I reckon.
Oh, that's cool. Nice.
Yeah, it's a good primer.
And I should mention, so by the time this runs, the first issue is already out. Go to your local comic shop and get it. And then the second issue, I think the pre-orders are due in by the 27th of October, I think I was told. So by the end of October, I think it's the 27th of October, the second issue, the pre-orders are due in. So check it out. A lot of fun. I love these turtles. So thank you for talking to me about them. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
All right. Take care, man. Nice to meet you.
See ya.
Bye. Hello and welcome to Turtle Tracks Podcast. This is your host, Brian VanHooker, and I'm here with Andrew Joustra, the writer of Tales of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, as well as script coordinator on Mutant Mayhem. He also wrote Chrome Alone 2, that recent short, but right now we're talking about Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. He is heading up issues 4 through 6. So I guess we want to talk about that story, which we know focuses on Fugitoid. Andrew, thanks for being back. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Good to be here.
That was a long introduction. I feel like I lost.
I liked it. No, it was good.
But yeah, I want to be clear. So, I mean, I just read issue 4. We're gonna not do too many spoilers, but there's already some stuff out there of
Yep.
Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So that's the comic book of Mutant Mayhem. I mean, how did you come to work on this? Because you were so involved with the movies. How did you end up in the comic book realm?
Yeah, it was pretty cool when they were they'd started working on the Tales series a couple years back, and the idea of a comic started being floated around, and then one of our creative executives, Jason McConnell, had me meet with Jeff Whitman, who you know well, who heads up publishing for Paramount, and we had a conversation, and actually in that very first conversation, we were talking about a comic tie-in, either something with the TV show or in the movie universe kind of thing. And I told him then, it was like, hey, I would love to do anything with these turtles, but if there's any chance I can work Fugitoid in. And so he jotted that down and remembered it. And then it was probably a few months later where he reached back out and he was like, hey, I think they're actually going to go through with doing this. We'd love to get like a writer from the TV show. So their script coordinator, Mikey Levitt, did the first arc, the first 3 issues. And then they were like, we'd love for you to do the second arc. And, so he had me send pitches that went to both IDW and to Nickelodeon. And so I had probably like 10 pitches, but again, I was already like set on doing Fugitoid. So I flushed that one out the most and sent it in. And when it came back, like, that initial version of it was a little bit bigger, a little crazier. And so they were leaning towards some of the other ones more. And I was like, can I just rework it a little bit and see if I can make it work? And thankfully, the second time I sent it through, they were like, hey, this actually seems like it could work really well. And they sent it to Chris Yost and Alan Wan, who were the showrunners. And they signed off on it and thought it was a lot of fun. And so, it still took a little bit of time, but then, beginning of last year, I got to start writing the issues. So, which was a blast.
So that goes through the show as well?
What's that? Sorry.
So so obviously it goes through the movie people, but it also goes through the show people?
This one, because this one is specifically a Tales of the TMNT comic.
Sure.
It does go, but I believe it also went to Point Grey as well, because they oversee the show and the movies. So it went through a lot of people. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Yep.
Were you going to send them to space in your original version?
Yeah. Which, yeah, I was, and I totally understand why we didn't this version, very grounded. We have them in high school, everything's set in New York. And so, my kind of original pitch for it was like, okay, well, if we do send them to space and stuff, obviously that really is going to affect their entire world and philosophical views. So we could do like a memory wipe thing at the end and act like it never happened, so that it doesn't affect future stories. And what we ended up coming up with, I actually like a lot better and think it's a lot stronger than that version would have been. And, it's really, but like, this is my favorite Ninja Turtles character. Like why
Fugitoid?
I love robots. I love sci-fi. There's something just kind of like, I don't know, a little bit melancholy about this guy's situation. Like he loses his body and he's stuck inside of this machine. And I don't know. I kind of gravitated towards that because he's like this. I was an only child growing up. He's kind of this lonely character until he meets up with the Ninja Turtles and they help him.
Your brain was transported into a robot at some point.
It was, yeah. This is just an android body I'm wearing now. No, but I've just always loved him, and every iteration of him, from the Mirage comics to the 2003 show, and then the 2012 version where they brought in David Tennant, who I already loved as the Doctor, and I just love the character. So to be able to reimagine him for this specific version of the Turtles was amazing for me. Yeah.
Do you have a definitive version for you? Is it the Mirage one, or is it
yeah. I love Mirage. I love the 2003 show. It's hard because I
He's also not very different in each one, and not in a way that's bad, but he's like, you know what I mean? He's kind of like a constant force. He looks usually the same. So like it's not a character that's like, oh well, they really screwed him up here because they kind of do the same thing in a great way.
Yeah, like, you know, and I mean, we see him in Last Ronin, which is like I probably the saddest version, but
yeah.
I love all of his appearances in the comics. That was the first issue I ever had Kevin Eastman signed for me was Turtles 5, which is when he shows up
Nice.
and meets the Turtles for the first time. So, you know, I think they did a great job, and yeah, there's not been a bad version of him. I hope that I hope the people that mine is worthy of those. It's
oh my gosh, I just read it an hour ago, and it totally
awesome.
is. I mean, like it's Fugitoid in the same way that you recognize the character. I mean, we can spoil it a little bit. We're not too much, but like, you know, he's not a space alien, right? But
he's
like
a human. Yep.
Yeah, which I mean works perfectly. Like, is he a neutrino in the IDW version?
No, he's from a different planet that are humanoid people. Like they're normal sized
regular
humans.
ears, not pointy ears.
Exactly. Yeah. And he's but we aged him down a bit, which was a Jeff Whitman and I talked about that a lot, and we were like, let's make him a little bit more relatable to our very teenage turtles.
Yeah.
And he's probably in his like he's probably like on the late side, like he might be 19 or 20. He's a scientist working for the EPF, doing research, and he was kind of scouted right out of high school. And so I really kind of self-serving, I guess, but I really based the version of Zayton Honeycutt largely on me. He's a much smarter version of me, but a version of myself that because I have this amazing job on the movies where I get to meet and work with the guys that play the Ninja Turtles, who were teenagers when they started on the movies, and now they're in their early 20s, late teens, and I'm older than all of them, but also like have a fun rapport, and it's something where I tried to bring a little bit of that into this version of Zayton. So
nice. Here's a question, right? Like, what, as being a Fugitoid diehard, what does that character need for you to be Fugitoid? What are the basics?
Yeah, it's. I think there's some things that are like, this absolutely has to happen, or it's going to be too much of a departure from the character. So for me, it was like, okay, making him younger, I don't think that matters. That works for me. Having him be from Earth, which we've seen in other versions too, that's fine. But for me, it's a guy who has to have a tragic backstory, who was very smart in working with technology that basically has him go from having a human body to being completely inside this mechanical thing that is foreign to him, and as a result of it, that alienates him from the rest of the world. And I thought that was absolutely necessary. There's a bit of like sort of political drama that revolves around him. Like in the original comics, he had developed this technology, the transmat device that the Federation was wanting to use in their war on the Utroms. And for me, I was really interested in that and was like, what could be our equivalent of that? And so I was like, well, it would be interesting if there was somebody within the EPF that maybe was abusing their power and doing some unethical things. And so I was like, okay, what if Satan is working on a technology that he thinks is going to be used for good, that in reality the EPF is planning on using for nefarious purposes? So for me, I thought that was important. And in doing that, there's a couple of characters that are always linked to him. There's, in the original version of the Federation, there's General Blank, who's kind of the main antagonist usually. And then working for him in the Federation is Lone, who in those old Mirage comics was kind of playing multiple sides. So I thought that would be a fun thing to explore and put them in the EPF. So now instead of General Blank, we have Special Agent Blank, and we have Agent Trainee Lone, who is Fugitoid's age and potentially a love interest. We'll have to see what happens there.
Oh man, a blank I caught. The other one. I mean, I just forgot.
It's a deep cut.
I appreciate it all the more now. That's great.
And then
no, I dig it. That's great.
And then the other one that was important to me was the Varlish, the hermit crabs, which in the old comics were these really giant alien crabs that ended up helping Fugitoid. And so in the first issue, you see that he has a pet hermit crab that's named Varlish and helps him with his experiments. That
no shit, dude. This is deep cuts all around.
I know. I oh yeah. There's and then there's a lot more too. I feel like without spoiling too much here, the one thing that I will say took quite a bit of convincing was I feel like you cannot have Fugitoid without some Triceratons.
So yeah, I mean, we should say Zog was announced.
Yes.
You know, Zog is in the next issue. What can you tell us about Zog? Because that was like Fugitoid. I mean, seeing what you did with Chrome Dome, and so we know that he like that's, and we see with Bishop and Tails, right? We know Advanced Tech is in this universe.
Yep.
But Zog is another layer altogether. So what can you tell us about Zog?
Yeah. So initially when we were talking about it, it was like, this is introducing an alien. We're still trying to keep this version fairly grounded. Like we have mutants in this universe. We have technology and advanced robots and stuff, but an alien might be taking it a little bit too far.
Sure.
So there was a point where I was brainstorming. It's like, oh, is there something else that could work? And I was like, oh God, I really think you have to have a Triceraton with Fugitoid. So you'll get more insight into who he is and where he comes from in issue number 5.
Okay.
But we did it in a way that I think complements the original Zog from the Mirage comics, who, for people who don't know or don't remember, he is a Triceraton that lost his memory. So he doesn't know that he's from another world or who his allegiances are to. So when we meet Zog in this arc, he has no memory beyond a couple months ago. So where he's from precisely is a mystery we'll have to explore another time. But he is the only Triceraton in the arc, so don't expect to see a fleet of them showing up to Earth or anything like that.
Well, Zog was always on his own, right? Because Zog was like he was a character in Return to New York, like he was left behind.
That's right. Yep.
Right, and he was like
in the sewer. Yeah,
breathe. Right, like he was. I always thought he was brain damaged because he was losing oxygen to his brain. Right.
Yes. Yeah. It's a little. Yeah.
Or losing nitrogen to his brain, because I guess
losing nitrogen because that's what they breathe in their home world. We changed it a little bit. He's apparently able to breathe oxygen, or maybe he's breathing and it's not quite allowing him to use all of his brain functions. I guess we'll say that. So, and we'll see that he is working in some capacity with the EPF, who are using Honeycutt's technology to control him.
Here's one thing I really dug about Fugitoid is the black and the gold character design. So my introduction to Fugitoid, probably like many people listening to this, was not the Mirage comics. It was that toy.
The Playmates toy.
Playmates toy, which I always loved. He's a great design. He looks great. I've got mine too. Oh
yeah. Yeah, no, we gotta have a little. Of course. Yes.
Yeah. So like I love this character. I always loved the design of this character. And I didn't know Fugitive Android was, I didn't understand the support mantle until many years later, right?
Yeah.
So like he was a huge character. Like I liked the toy. He was cool, right?
Yep.
So like why did you decide to do the black and gold? What was the reasoning behind that?
Yeah, I'm just taking the philosophy from Mutant Mayhem. Was we always look at the original toy design first from those 80s. Every mutant that you see in Mutant Mayhem, even Chrome Dome, as different as his design is, we looked at his original design first, and that's a starting point. And so, I love this toy. It really made me use my imagination a lot, and you know, a lot of questions. It's like, where'd he came from? Like, why does he look like this? And like what's interesting too is like he has red eyes, so it's like, is this guy a friend? Is he a villain? You
Sure.
know, but that's where I wanted to start with, and we did a handful of I did some really terrible sketches and mock-ups, and Rustam Hassanov, who was character designer for the Tales TV show, we actually brought him in to do the character designs not only for Fugitoid but also for Zog, Agent Blank, and Agent Lune. So all of those have a little bit of continuity, I guess, in style.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I wasn't sure
and
if it was who it was. I figured it was Louie. Okay.
Yeah, Rustam did those, and then obviously as he's drawing it, Louis comes up with a shorthand, so it gets a little bit more in his style. So the final ones that you see in the comics are more, you know, feel more like Louis. But yeah, Rustam blew it out of the park. I mean,
Yeah.
I was that was one thing that I was very picky about, was the Fugitoid design, just because I wanted it to not only feel like how I felt looking at this guy, but also make sure that it was in the same design language as the rest of our universe. So I was thrilled with what he did there.
What was like in the same sense of the origin story of what makes Fugitoid? What was it about the look that you're like, oh no, he's got to have that?
Yeah, I thought, you know, because we've seen the all like silver version of him a handful of times at this point. Like the 2012, they made like a white version of him that was like a cleaner sci-fi look. Um, and I just thought that this look in particular, like, okay, if we have like a young guy who's like just gotten out of high school, who's working on this robot that he's using, it should look a little bit homemade, a little bit scrappy.
Sure,
Not like
yeah.
not like it's come off an assembly line. Like this is a one of one design. So I thought that would work really well, because you'll see in the first issue that he's originally using it. We still call it a Sal robot.
Yeah, I love that. That was great.
And he's using that for his experiments that are using mental waves, the mental wave helmet to control mechanical objects. And so yeah, I thought that was important, and yeah, using the gold and black color scheme. Just because that's not something we see a whole lot, and wanted to give a nod to that original version. And then so, you know, some of the changes, the reason his LED lights on his eyes are blue, again, just inserting myself into a little bit, but I have blue eyes, and I thought we've never seen a Fugitoid with blue eyes before. In 2003 series, he had green eyes.
Oh yeah.
So I thought it would be cool, and also, you know, you see that, and it just looks friendlier than a red-eyed robot like this toy. So
Yeah. You can easily. I never occurred to me until you said it just now, but it could easily read as an evil robot. Like it doesn't.
yeah.
Yeah.
And we there's Rustam also did this, but yeah, Zayton Honeycutt's design. He started with a photo of me for reference and gave him a mullet, and but with round glasses like I wear sometimes, and he has blue eyes when he's a human, so that's kind of something that he retains when he goes from. It's like really the only thing he retains when he goes from that to his robot form, which we thought would be a nice little touch. Yeah.
Now, what about Zog?
Yes.
Well, can you talk about the development of him? What he needed?
Yeah. You know, we wanted him to feel big and menacing and mysterious, and kind of question seeing him as like, oh, is this guy otherworldly? Is it possible that he's a mutant from dinosaur DNA? So that you're asking those questions, but we also wanted it to look like, oh, this guy's a warrior. Like he has an outfit that looks a little bit otherworldly, as if he may have been a soldier or something at one time. You know, we wanted him to, everything about him, we just wanted to convey strength and intimidation, so that when the turtles ultimately face him, it's a bit scarier than if they, you know, came across I don't know. I don't know if he's scarier than Superfly. He's definitely not as competent as Superfly, but maybe just the sheer size of him is a little more intimidating.
I'm curious. This is just the dinosaur nerd in me now.
Yeah.
The choice of the head shape,
Yeah.
is not the frill that we are used to. How was that decision made? Why? I'm curious. Maybe I'm getting way in the weeds here.
No, it's we tried a few different things, and we just thought it looked cool. It looked
It does look cool.
Yeah, that's what it came down to. And Rustum did a few different passes at it, and we just thought that was like, oh, this isn't exactly what we've seen before, because we didn't want it to be a copy and paste of.
Well, yeah, I mean, Zog's another character too, right? We've seen him in Mirage 03, and I think that's it. Well, he's not in. Is he in the 2012 show? I don't remember him.
I don't think so. I think they ended up like Mozar is the main villain.
Yeah.
I'm gonna feel like no, I'm wrong. I guess he is a sergeant. At some point we do see him, but
Okay. But I mean, like, we've seen the
take away
same
my fan
version
card.
of,
Yeah,
similar to this, almost in the same way we've seen a very similar Fugitoid over and over again. Not in a bad way, but we've seen a similar Zog over and over again. He's kind of used one way. So
yeah, exactly. So it wanted to be that it again, like the Mutant Mayhem designs. It's like if you saw it from afar, it's like, oh, that's Bebop and Rocksteady. Like it's that that you know immediately that's the character. It's just a different take on him. So yeah.
The you kind of touched on this a little bit with the whole space thing, but like, I don't know, what's the process been like for you? I mean, because you were on the first movie, and you're working on the second one now, and also you did the Christmas short and these, like, the process of figuring out what the bounds of this universe are.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense. Like there's no Triceratons in the universe of the 1990 movie.
Right.
And obviously with X number of mutants, and it's a cartoon, and it's sillier, and it's more fun. Like, this is a different. Like, I'm just curious about testing the limits of that and finding out where those lines are. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, like and I with the movies, which I'm not writing or pitching stuff with that, but like from the insight that I have being there is there's not necessarily anyone saying like, oh, you can't have it, do this. I think a lot of it is Jeff Rowe, director, and writers, and Seth and Evan, kind of their instincts of what feels right. And with the movie, we have the benefit of iterating a lot. So, first movie, second movie, we're putting up tons of storyboards and versions of different scenes and trying out different things. And sometimes there's stuff that we have tried that after we watch it is like, this feels too sci-fi for this moment, or this feels too dark for this tonally, for like, and it's really trial and error with some of that stuff. But I think a lot of it comes down to the instincts of the creatives. And so, for Tales of the TMNT, I think Chris Yost and Alan Wan kind of set a North Star, and that's what I was feeding into. Is like they really wanted, okay, we want to make sure that these tales that we're telling are localized to planet Earth, and for the most part New York City, and we're focusing on that aspect of the Turtles' lives and being in high school. So even
that kind of helped expand. Like, I was pleasantly surprised in that show when, like, Bishop, like, because the movie doesn't establish that there's this futuristic tech in that world, right? But Tales did in a very bold way. Yes. And the EPF too. Like, EPF's not in the. Oh wait, it is. Wait,
EPF's in the show.
Utrom. Well, no. Cynthia Utrom's not. No, that's new ground.
Cynthia's part of in the movies. TCRI.
Right.
Is what she's.
Yeah, that's another thing too, where EPF is new ground for the Tales thing, which is also very cool because that's a big deal.
Right. Yeah, it ties back. I mean, we've seen the EPF before, and it kind of hints at a bigger universe that they exist in. And it's been cool. I never felt boxed in too much. I thought all of the so-called limitations that were put around it, I felt just helped me to zone in on the story. So really none of that, I don't think any of that held it back or made it worse by any means. Yeah.
Oh no, I think it's just been feeling what feels right, right? Like I don't think some of the mysticism we've seen in other versions of Turtles is in the Mutant Mayhem verse. I don't
Right. Like if stuff like the powers that we see in Rise would feel very out of place if suddenly our Turtles were doing that. But it feels right for the Rise version. Yeah, exactly.
I think I'm set here. I mean, is there another? I'm trying to think. Usually I ask, I'm trying to what I can end on. Do you have a voice in your? I mean, besides your own, do you have a voice in your head for what Fugitoid, your Fugitoid sounds like?
Um,
Or like dream casting.
Dream casting. I'm just myself.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. There's it's. I guess that's one thing I can talk about a little bit. Is just a lot of the story is sort of a thank you letter to me getting to work on this franchise, and also a little bit about where I was at when I started on the first movie, which was, I had been out of work for a little while during COVID, and I was starting to, doubt where my career was going to be going. And I'd been out in LA for a while, really wanting to make it in the industry and wanting to write and wanting to be creative. And, I was never planning to quit, but I was starting to be at like a place where I was like, is this ever going to happen? Am I going to get anywhere? And so I amazingly got this opportunity on the movie, which was a huge confidence boost. And pretty early on, I told our director, Jeff Rowe, I was like, hey, listen, I'm here to be your script coordinator. I'll do the best job I can, but my dream is to be a writer. So anything that I can possibly do creatively, if there's anything you can do to help, that would be amazing. And Jeff and I were not connected before this movie. He didn't have any reason to help me, but he did. He was willing to look at scripts that I wrote and give me feedback. He helped make it possible for me to write the short Chrome Alone 2. He was a advocate for me to do other things, and I wanted to put that in here because when Fugitoid starts off in our story in issue 4, he's at a very low point. He has been on the run for several months. He's all alone in the world. He's losing faith in himself. He feels like he's made this big mistake that he's never going to fix. And he has a chance encounter with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and asks them straight up, hey, I know you guys don't have a reason to help me, but I could really use your help. And they do. And so that's in a way me trying to kind of put my story into this one. And so yeah, we kind of see a lot of that through the other issues, and how Fugitoid grows as a character, and how I felt I was growing and learning as I was getting opportunities, getting to work on this franchise. So yeah, it's been a dream come true for me, because like at the end of all of that, I got the chance to write the short. I got the chance to write this comic, which is one of my biggest dreams. So yeah, it's been awesome.
I love that, man. I'm like, that's, you deserve it. That's fantastic to hear.
Oh, thank you. It's still quite surreal, and I really hope people respond to it and enjoy it. And yeah, it's a character that I think deserves a lot of love, and I think people will get a kick out of it.
By the way, when the Oscars were announced, that was the first thing I did was zip to the short section. I was like, it's such a snub. Check and see if Chrome Alone.
I know we were, just the fact that a short called Chrome Alone 2 Lost in New Jersey was even in the conversation. I was pretty excited by that. Yeah. And we got to do some fun events. Our director Kent Secchi got to show it some places, and the response to it online's been insane. Like fans reaching out and saying how much fun they had seeing it, and it actually just kind of is a surprise to us too. Just dropped on Paramount Plus over the weekend. So
it's in the extras of Mutant Mayhem, right? That's you find.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. If you search for it, it won't show up. But yeah, if you go to the Mutant Mayhem movie, under extras, it's probably the first video that shows up. So.
I think best of all, you got toys for it. Like you
And
got
there's toys. We got
and the knockoffs and the chrome dome. Those are huge.
knockoffs, Chrome Dome. There's like some T-shirts and sweaters.
Yeah, that's awesome.
No, I was, and they did an awesome job on those. I mean, they're the same ones that you see in the live action part of the short. So
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Dude, thanks again. Oh, we should push the the pre-order deadline for Tales issue 4 is February 9th. This is going to be coming out the 2nd, so you've got like a week.
Yep.
To order this. So this issue 4 is sort of a new story. So hopefully you didn't miss 1 through 3, but if you did, this is a new story. So
yeah, it's a good. You can jump in, like read Mikey's first 3 issues. They're a lot of fun. But
yeah, absolutely. Donatello at Robot Camp.
Very Mechazoid Summer. And then if for some reason you haven't, jump in issue 4. You really won't need to know anything other than who the Ninja Turtles are, and if you saw Mutant Mayhem, it helps a little bit. And then that'll be actually on shelves in comic book stores March 18th.
Cool.
For issue number 4. Yeah. And then I think it'll be monthly from there out for 4, 5, 6. So
fantastic. Yeah, go to your
and then it's going to be collected into a trade, which I'm very excited about.
Oh, is that all 6 or is that the 3 and 3?
They're going to break it up into the first 3 and the second 3. So
nice, very cool.
Yeah, so mine, I'm not sure when Mikey's will be out, probably a little bit sooner, but mine will be September is when that drops.
Oh, nice, very cool.
Yeah, but go get the physical issues. There's really cool A, B, and C covers. A cover by Louie Joyce, who obviously is illustrating the whole book. B cover by Chalky Wong, who's one of the artists on the movies, and so he has some really cool ones. And then the C cover is like these graffiti poster type things that John Larkey did, and they're really fun. So
we didn't give nearly enough love to Louie Joyce, whose art.
Louie's insane. Louie,
amazing.
Every time I'm consistently blown away by his work. I feel so lucky that he's the one who's bringing the story to life. And he has just such an amazing style that's like, it's not a copy and paste of the show or the movie, but it has the same vibe and energy and the frenetic way that he draws. And the way he breaks panels is incredible. So he's just been a great creative partner on it too. So I love working with him.
When I had him on the podcast and I was familiarizing myself with his work before Turtles, I was like, oh, no wonder they hired this guy.
Right?
It's such a match. Not even for the Turtles, for these Turtles, it's such a match. It's such an excellent choice of an artist to put on this book. Man, he's great.
No, he's awesome. Godzilla Skid or Die, which go check that out if you haven't seen it. And Louie's huge into skateboarding, is apparent from that book. So I won't say how, but we'll get some skateboarding in this arc at some point that comes into the story. Yeah.
Cool. Well, again, February 9th is the pre-order date for Tales issue 4. And Andrew, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Oh, of course. Thanks, man.
All right, take it easy.
All right.
Bye.